Hi everyone. My guest today has defeated cancer twice. Facing this monstrous disease once is more than enough for anybody, but to have to face cancer twice and defeated it twice makes her a hero. She's not just here to talk about her experience going through cancer twice, the lessons that she learned, how she sees life differently now. Every day is a gift, honestly. But she's also here to talk about why your finances matters. She told me one time, she was like, it's one thing to go through cancer, it's another thing to be going through cancer and be wondering how to pay rent and so on and so forth. So she's here to talk about why your finances matters. All that she went through led her into becoming a life insurance professional, a financial coach who is passionate about helping individuals, families, and business owners to build stronger financial future. Please help me welcome Mrs. Victoria Akinfenwa. Mrs. Akinfenwa, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Ms. Adiola. Thank you for this opportunity.
How did you even handle what was it like the first diagnosis? And then to think that you've defeated it to get another diagnosis. Please share your story with us.
Thank you so much. Came to this country just like any other person, right, to get a better life for ourselves and for our children. And then my doctor said it's time for your annual screening. And then I went, and then I was asked to go for a biopsy. And then I went for biopsy, and then like 1 or 2 weeks after, I got a call. She said, Victoria, you've just been diagnosed with cancer. We need to have a meeting with a group of doctors to decide the treatment plans. And that was it. So I was like, what's she talking about? Nobody in my family has ever been diagnosed with cancer. And then I remember what she told me. She said, life happens. And then life happens. So I thought, well, life happens. But the question is, where will it happen to me? It was a Friday. She said, Victoria, you have to be in the office by Monday at the doctor's office. And that was how it started.
From what I remember, you said this was literally 2 years after you moved to America.
Yes, that was 2 years I moved to America, and then thinking I had a job. I had a very good job. And then I have to go through this. I've never gone through it, and I've never had any story from anyone that I've gone through it. But all I did was like cancer. Just hearing about that, I sank in my seat. I started crying. What am I going to do? Who am I going to talk to? I called my husband, called my children. I don't know what to do. Packed my stuff from the office, came home, and then I'm like, what next? If I die, what's going to happen to my children? If I die, what's going to happen to my bills? If I don't die, how am I going to pay the bills? So I kept thinking about all those. How would my life be? Is it going to end like this? I have a lot of dreams, but I have to go through it. Monday, I was at the doctor's office, actually a hospital, and when I came in, I saw about five doctors, all these other professional oncologists all seated. I'm like, what's it about? They said, sit down, and let's talk. She said, well, because you have an aggressive cancer, we are not able to decide the quantity of treatment to give you. We have to reach out to an hospital somewhere in Texas, and then they will be able to tell us the quantity of chemo or radiation or the quantity or the type of treatment we're going to give you. But I was like blank for like 5 minutes. I don't know what to say. So they couldn't even decide what to give me. And then that was how I started thinking, what's going to happen to my bills? What's going to happen to my family? Everybody that relied on me, my children, my husband. How am I going to continue? And then I remember leaving that place with a plan of treatment. And then I thought I would be able to continue with my job, but I couldn't. Remember, if any of you that work in the health profession, it's a full day affair when you start your treatment. So for a Monday to Friday, I have to be at the treatment center. I couldn't go to my work. Then the following week, I went back and then go see my supervisor. She said, Victoria, I'm sorry, you have to go through this. But when you get better, please come back. And what is that? I just lost my job. I just lost my job because there's no how. She said, I know you have to go through treatment, but there's no how you're going to have your job and still have your treatment.
They fired you.
Yes, it's like that was it. I couldn't combine my job with my treatment. And then I packed my stuff. I would never forget that day of losing that job. I walked away. Dude, everybody wishing me well, but where's the next paycheck going to come from? Where's the next paycheck? Now,
Mm.
I thought that was it. And then I noticed my short term disability, my long term disability over the time could not cope because what? Short term is just 3 months. And how much am I going to get paid? And long term is about 6 months.
Mm.
My treatment was a year and 5 months. So at a time, there was nothing I could do. Now, not only that, I lost my health insurance benefit. There was no health insurance to pay for me
How?
because what? They were not able to pay for all my treatment. And now I'm off the radar. I'm off the job. So,
Oh,
and all this
the health
happened
insurance
together.
came through your job.
Yes, I don't have any, yeah, health insurance came through my job. The job is gone. The health insurance is gone. Now, not only that, my group life insurance policy with my job was gone. I couldn't port it over. I know you'd be thinking you should be able to port it over. And then I lost that too. So now I was faced with how am I going to cope with life? How am I going to pay my bills? Now, if something happened to me, will my children inherit my bills? So I kept thinking about that. Now, if I die, I want my children to have a good life, to be able to finish college, settle down. Now that I've lost my job, I lost all the benefit, what is going to happen? And that's anxiety. Just
Mm.
thinking, where is the next paycheck going to come from? You dealing with cancer, you cannot pay your rent, you cannot even take care of your kids. In this country, if you are not able to pay your rent the first month, second month, the third month, what happens? You are about to
Eviction.
lose that house, eviction. Now, not only that, I remembered a friend called me, Victoria, let's go to the Medicaid office. I'm like, okay, let's go. So we went to the Medicaid office. They put in my social my details. And then the woman looked at me. She said, Victoria, you have to go and spend down. I said, what is spend down? He said, as long as you are worth more than $2,000 in this state, you cannot qualify for what? For Medicaid. So I asked her, do I have to be poor to qualify for Medicaid? She said, well, that's not what I'm saying. But if you are what? Your total net worth is more than $2,000, you can't get a government Medicaid. And that was the one that hit me most. I said, my car is more than $2,000. And then I asked her, do you want me to sell my car so that I'm able to pay for my treatment? She said, oh, that's not what I'm saying. But according to the regulation, if you are worth more than 2,000, your 401k, I don't even have a savings. Whatever you have is more than $2,000, you cannot qualify for a Medicaid. And that was how I left the Medicaid office. And then I start to think. And then I noticed that every document, letter that come in my name to my house, it's a bill.
CPU.
When I pick out that bill, I have my name on it. And then what happened? I started getting worried. How am I going to cope with this bill? At the time, I had over 700,000 in treatment bills. And then I have to start using my credit card. And then I had over 120,000 on my credit card. And then my credit report dropped down. But one thing I noticed that with other people that were taking this treatment together, some of them are so relaxed. So one day I summoned courage to call one of them. Every letter that comes with my name is a bill. I said, how are you coping with your bill? She said, oh, you know what? I get a check from my insurance company. I'm like, you get a check from your insurance company? Which company is giving them money when they get sick? Then she didn't want to tell me. And then I start to think, which company is paying them hundreds of thousands of dollars? But she didn't want to tell me. And then that was why I have to do what? I said, I have to get this information. What type of policy do they have? Who do they bank with? I don't even know. But she was not ready to tell me. So, and that led me to like, okay, so when some people get sick in this country, they get richer. While I was thinking, when is my next meal going to come from? Someone already have life put together for them because what? They have a particular account. Until somebody invited me to listen. That was when I learned about this. And then I learned about there's something called cash value life insurance that does what? That has some living benefit. And that was what they are benefiting from. I'm like, no, nobody has ever talked to me about cash value life insurance. No, nobody. I know there are life insurance that pays out when you are dead, which is okay. So until I decided I'm going to learn what this is actually, so that we can all help our community, because what, we're in this together.
So the first lesson from everything you've said, the very first lesson is please make sure that you get your yearly checkup. If you are listening to this, a lot of people don't do their yearly checkups. Please and please get your yearly checkup because that literally saved your life. It was from the checkup that they got the diagnosis. And the second thing that you're saying is you found out that while you were worrying about how you pay your bills and so on, you found out that other cancer patients that were receiving the same treatment were not as stressed because they had life insurance. So prior to this, you thought having life insurance was all about your loved ones being paid when somebody dies. But now you found out the hard way, I'm truly sorry, the life insurance, you can actually enjoy the benefits while you're alive, and that one of the benefits is getting a huge lump sum if you get any terminal diagnosis, any chronic illness, and that is what you experienced. So, no wonder you got into life insurance. And I will still ask you why we need a plan B and so on. But, real quick, after going through all that, were you able to now get life insurance for yourself? One that has living benefit.
Thank you so much. I was not able to get the one that has a living benefit. I was declined. So I tried several companies to actually get a policy that will have a terminal illness rider, critical illness rider, and chronic illness rider attached to it. I couldn't get the one that has a cash value life insurance. I was declined. I was told I have to wait for 5 years after my diagnosis, but after 4 years, I was diagnosed again. So making it a second diagnosis. Now
Hmm.
that puts me on a very high risk. So I couldn't get what I wanted. Now, after going through that, then I have to wait for another 5 years, which I did. By the time I waited for another 5 years, I already have so many other diagnoses. We call them chemo induced diagnosis. That's what they are called. Maybe
Hmm.
blood pressure, your sugar level. I remember when I was taking my treatment, I was never diabetes, but my ratings was about 300 and something when I was taking my treatment. Through chemo, I got diagnosed with diabetes, and it continues like that. So with that, I couldn't get a policy that I really love that will take care of me. So it pains me when I see people when they're supposed to have all these policies, all this life insurance that can take care of you while you're living, and they don't have it. It really, really grieves me when I see that. Why don't you just protect yourself with a small amount of money that's going to take care of you down the line when something ever happens to you?
Hmm. So, for a lot of people that don't live in the US, I don't know how it works in every country, but here, a lot of insurance companies they don't want to insure someone that recently got a diagnosis unless they've been in remission for some years. And in your case, you were saying that many of those insurance companies were saying you have to be in remission for 5 years. Unfortunately, after 4 years was when you got the second diagnosis. I can't even imagine how that must have felt, to think that okay, I'm almost there, I'm almost close to 5 years to now get another diagnosis. I'm truly sorry. How are you now? I know it's been a while, but how is your health? Maybe that is where I should have even started this interview. How is your health?
Thank you so much. One thing I know is that I'm not who I used to be, because those things I'm able to do, I'm not able to do them now. I cannot stand for too long. I cannot do a particular task for too long. When I was going through that, I couldn't use my hands and my legs. It took a while. I'm like, how am I going to use the computer? I couldn't do anything with my hands, but I'm happy I'm alive. I know God took care of me. I'm here. But one thing is that I still have unending payment plans because I still go for treatment. I'm going to take treatment for the next 10 years. And then I have a monthly treatment that must continue to pay off. Now, not only that, I'm dealing with side effects of the cancer treatment and then the late effects of what? The cancer treatment. And my credit report is messed up because what? I'm on so many payment plans. Because what? I do not have any cash value paid out to me or any policy that's able to see me through.
So now you've had two different cancer treatments. That's a lot of debt. But from what I'm hearing from you and what I also recently learned, all this could have been taken care of by insurance if you had life insurance that comes with living benefits. Do you mind enlightening us about that?
Thank you so much. I know some people will be thinking, what do they mean by cash value life insurance? There are two types of life insurance. You have term life and then you have permanent life. Term life pays out to your family, your beneficiary when you are no more, which is good. And we have some term lives that also have living benefit. So if you have a term life that doesn't have a living benefit, you want to go in and do a review, right? Do I have a term life that has a living benefit? If it doesn't, you want to make sure you have that in place. Now, we now have permanent life insurance. Permanent life insurance is the one that stays for a long time. It may be 100 years, it may be 121 years, but it does have what? It does grow cash value and then has a living benefit. Now, that living benefit pays out for terminal illness, critical illness, chronic illness. God forbid you are ever diagnosed with any of this. Now, nobody knows when, right? You try to get an insurance on your car so that if somebody hits you, the insurance company is able to pay. So that is why we try to get a policy on ourselves, right? Getting a policy on yourself so that when something happens to you, if you sleep today, you wake up tomorrow, you are not able to use your left hand and your left leg. How are you going to go back to that job? So you need something that's going to take care of you, that's going to pay out. And I'm so happy that these companies do very well paying out because a lot is happening out there. And we hate to see ourselves on GoFundMe, right? Put your family name out there begging people for money when you can get something as cheap as what? Having a dinner, right, in a restaurant, right, to take care of you. Is as cheap as that. So that is why we're trying to educate our community, try to have what? A permanent life insurance that does what? That will pay out for terminal, critical, and chronic illnesses as soon as you are diagnosed.
Because the truth is,
Thank you.
nobody ever plans to be diagnosed. Like you
Mhm.
said earlier, life happens. We're all praying and hoping for the best and praying that nothing happens. But it's also always good to be prepared. So, after going through all that you've been through, and then you see some people debating whether or not they need life insurance. I can only imagine how upsetting that must be for you. Yoruba people will say, "Ẹni lórí ò ní fìlà, ẹni ní fìlà olórí." For you that have been there, and that is why today you are a life insurance agent. Real quick, let's talk about having Plan B. A lot of people are not thinking about this, but this is one of the things that you try to educate people on about having Plan B. More importantly, having accounts that can replace their income if they should fall sick or if they are not able to work. So, do you mind talking about that real quick?
Thank you so much. I love talking about Plan B, just like you said, because what? Life can take turns, right? And having your money somewhere where it grows on compound interest and you are able to take it out, if you ever get sick, it cannot be overemphasized, right? And when we talk about this, I know people do think, oh, I have a savings account, I have a checking account. All those are good. Whatever you have are good. Have you ever think about what? Are those accounts growing in compound interest? That is, does that mean when your money sits in the bank, is it actually growing for you? So if it doesn't, and it is not able to take care of you if you get sick, I want you to go find out what is the cost of going through chemo or dialysis. Just go find out. You know that whatever you have saved up in the bank is not enough. So that's why we talk about Plan B. Having what? A life insurance that does what? That grows cash value and pay out if you ever get sick. Now, how does that work? Some people think, well, you said it's a life insurance. How come it pays out when you are sick? Because those are additional riders that were added to it that grows so fast that's able to help you if you ever get sick. Now, when we talk about terminal illness, when your doctor says you have less than 12 months to live, you are able to get almost all what you have in your life insurance while you are living. Now, let me tell you something. With your life insurance with living benefit, you can spend your death benefit while you are alive. I say it again. You can spend your death benefit while you are alive. So you cannot be on a sick bed and try to think, how am I going to buy my medication? How am I going to get my food? But when you have a cash value life insurance that has a living benefit, you are able to do what? Get money from those policies to take care of you while you are going through life. You don't have to begging people out there. That is one thing that can do for you. Now, when we talk about critical illness, heart attack, stroke, cancer, Alzheimer, any of these, God forbid, these sicknesses, you are able to start doing accessing portion of your money while you are living. Now, we also talk about what? Chronic illness. If you cannot do two out of the six activities of daily living, maybe you cannot eat by yourself, you cannot transfer, you cannot shower, you cannot continent, you cannot do two of those in 90 consecutive days, it has to be a doctor's diagnosis. What happens? You can start accessing portion of your money while you are living. I've seen that happen several times. People are able to access portion of their money while they are living, right? Now, for those of you that think we don't get sick in our family and we don't die, that is fine. But are you going to grow old? You're going to grow old, right? So let's talk about the cash value aspect of it. You can actually spend your death benefit, the cash value that grows on it, as a tax-free supplementary retirement income. What does that mean? Something being paid out to you in your old age. This is so amazing. Term policy cannot give you that. No other policy can give you that. So this can be a supplemental retirement income, right? That is being paid out to you while you are living. You don't have to die to enjoy the money in your life insurance.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
You literally took the words out of my mouth. The video that I made about life insurance, for a lot of people that reached out to me, they were like, that's the first time that they're finding out that life insurance is not just for when you die. You don't have to die to enjoy the benefits of having life insurance. If you're able to get a permanent life insurance, like term insurance has its own place, but if you're able to get a permanent life insurance, especially the ones that comes with terminal illness riders, it's very beneficial just because you never know what tomorrow may bring. Like she said, life happens. I am so grateful for you that today you've made it your mission to enlighten people, to coach people, but also to help people get the policies that you still so much want, that you are able to help people get coverage. And you have helped so many families and you're still helping them. So I promised you guys when I made that video about life insurance that I can write you policy, but you don't have to work with me. I will bring other agents on the show. This is a fulfillment of that promise. I'm still bringing other agents, but today I brought Mrs. Victoria Akinfenwa to share her story, very compelling, but also let you know that she can also help you get life insurance if you're interested. I mean, who would not be interested after hearing such a story? So her website is literally under her name, coachvicky.com. Make sure that you put /build wealth to land on her page, and that is where you can book a free consultation with her on her calendar so that you can get more information. She's licensed in more than 20 states here in the US, so it doesn't matter where you live, just contact her and she can attend to you as well. Thank you so much for coming on the show today, for sharing your story. Is there any question that I didn't ask that you want to answer?
Thank you so much. And I'm so happy you decided to get your license and do this, because what? You are going to change so many lives. So I really appreciate that, because
Yeah.
what that is what
Thank
we
you.
want. We want more voices. We want more voices. So the question I'm going to ask today, I mean, this is towards our client, is that what account do you have that will take care of you if you get sick and could not work? So that is a big question. Make sure you are able to answer that. What account do you have? You have two, three jobs today. If you cannot have two, three jobs tomorrow, you do first shift, second shift, third shift, you are busy, you thinking life insurance is something, but I just want you to be able to think that what account is going to take care of you if you fall sick and you are not able to go to work. For those of you that already have policies and you need review, make sure you get your policies review. You do that annually, because things are changing so fast. What you think you had 5 years ago, a lot has happened. So thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate you, Mr. Adeola, for putting this together, and I hope we are able to help our community. Thank you.
And from what you described, you spoke extensively about Index Universal Life, the one that you talk about, like people being able to withdraw money, the one that builds cash value. You spoke extensively about Index Universal Life, right?
Yes.
Okay, so for those who might have seen my video, that was the same one that I illustrated on my show, having an Index Universal Life policy that Yes, that you can literally use to pay your children's tuition when they get to college, and depending on when you sign them up, or if you sign them up early, and that you can even set it up in a way that you'll be getting pension regardless of the pension plans that you have. This will be an addition to whatever pension plans you already have. So this is what Mrs. Victoria Akinfenwa was talking about. I'm really glad that you broke it down in layman's terms. I just wanted to say real quick that since I started doing this, by the way, it was my uncle's cancer diagnosis that also pushed me into doing this, like I said in my video. But since we started doing this, we've seen a number of people that will say, oh, I plan on retiring in Nigeria. So do you mind just talking to them briefly that it doesn't really matter where you plan to retire, but while you have the opportunity, make sure that you get the coverage?
Thank you so much. It is true. It doesn't matter where you retire. Like me, when I retire, I want to travel the world. So all you have to do is just get a system in place, get a policy in place. And if you structure it very well, I'm going to put that out because a lot of things are going out there talking about policies not being structured. If you structure your policy very well, that's why you need to reach out to whoever knows what they're doing. If you structure those policies very well, they're going to take you through retirement. And anywhere you are, you're outside of the country, you already have a bank account attached to it. It drops, the money drops in there, and then you are able to take it out wherever you are. 2 months ago, I needed 7,000 from my policy because I had to travel. I'm like, where am I going to go to? Am I going to go to the bank, go borrow money? No, I just went into my policy, not only my policy, my children's policy. So for those of you that think, oh, I cannot qualify, get a policy on your kids. Get a policy on them. So I have a policy on my kids that grows cash value. I went in there, took out money, and I was able to do whatever I want to do. It's so interesting to see the power of cash value, borrowing from yourself. So wherever you are located, this money will pay out into your account, and then you can take it out wherever you are.
Real quick, man, before I let you go, I don't know if you don't mind talking to anybody that might just have gotten a diagnosis. What do you have to say to them? Or maybe someone that lost a loved one recently due to cancer or any other terminal illness, if you don't mind talking to them real quick.
Thank you for that. If you are here or you are listening to this and you are going through a cancer diagnosis or any chronic or critical or terminal illness, one thing I just want you to know is that hold on to your faith, whatever faith you have, hold on to your faith and then be positive and then try to do what? Do gratitude, a lot of gratitude. Now, one thing you want to do is that make sure you have communication with people around you. Don't pull back to yourself. Just make sure you have communication with people, anybody around you that you think is going to help you. And not only that, try and get something for the family. Get a protection, right? Get a protection, get a permanent life with living benefit so that your children, your family member don't have to go through what you are going through now. So I really encourage you that you should stay positive as you're going through this, but encourage people around you to get a policy that will take care of them. Yeah, so it's a tough thing, but I pray that you go through this and then you come out happy, successful, healed at the end of your treatment.
Thank you so much for saying that. I think the biggest thing is do not isolate yourself and don't give up. It's not over until it is over. So please don't isolate yourself. Let's give it up one more time for Mrs. Victoria Akinfewa. Thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing your story. Like I said, her website is written under her name. You can book her for a session and she would help you out. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Guys, don't forget to subscribe if you're yet to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Until next time, I'm going to see you later. Peace out.